Hello and welcome to another Battlefield 6 weapons guide. In today's guide, we'll be talking about the GRT-BC, the last carbine you unlock in Battlefield 6. This gun's closest comparison as far as real life is honestly probably the Tavor or any of the other bullpups that I don't know the names of, and what it reminds me of most is the MDR from Tarkov. So, right off the bat, this thing looks super cool, but when we compare it from a stats perspective, I would say the most immediate comparison, of course, because this is a god of all carbines, is the M4A1. Now, do I think it excels in some situations better than the M4? Well, not really, but we'll talk about the build regardless, as I mean, it is a pretty cool gun that I think most people would want to run. So from our muzzle perspectives, we are going to want to go the compensated brake or the suppressor. I really don't think you have many options besides those two as far as getting the right amount of precision and control. The compensated really does give you the best amount of control, but the suppressor does make it so you can be a little sneakier. As far as our barrel, this thing looks very awkward without the 14.5-inch ult, so I'm going to always pick the extended as it gives us the most amount of muzzle velocity. When we talk about our vertical grip, we are going to choose the 6H64 in old reliable fashion, and everything else just kind of sucks or costs way too much points. 25 is perfect for what you get, and that is pretty much all we're going to do on that regard. Magazine, of course, we're going to choose a 36 rounder as soon as we unlock it, and we are not going to go anywhere past that because the 45 rounder is way too expensive and the other one is too expensive. As far as your rounds, it's up to you. I like the penetration rounds because we're going to be firing into groups of people from close range, and I mean, that extra damage does help. As far as our sight, the gun starts off with a sight that's kind of a 1.75 red dot. And I will admit that sight is probably going to be able to run you all the way to the end because this gun, it really does suck past 10 meters. And you'll see that in a second. And then, of course, from our laser perspective, we want the extra hip fire. So we're going to choose our 10 cost green laser attachment. Now, like I said, when we actually see this thing in the firing range, I will admit this thing is, it's a little ineffective from a distance, if we're being honest with each other. I mean, this thing is a god probably up until 15 meters, but past that, I mean, even when you're tapping this thing, and I mean, of course, I have the suppressor equipped right now, so this thing kicks a little bit more. But even with the compensated brake, this thing definitely doesn't feel great from a distance. And I would highly recommend you run this thing as strictly a close quarters god, kind of in the way of the M4A1. I mean, it's a good gun. It feels really smooth to use, and honestly, it just handles well, but it is not meant for long range. And the bloom from a distance is pretty nutty. In honestly, the best way I can describe it is the M4A1, but less rate of fire and cooler looking. But when we actually see this thing in action, we are going to further press the idea that this thing is pretty much only useful from about 10 to 15 meters max. Once we get into these people that are past 20 meters, besides the fact that I'm getting vaulted into the 10 feet into the air, because why not? This gun really does lose its effectiveness when you're running it from more than 10 meters or even a little bit more than 15. I really do think this gun is really fun to use. And the fun factor, of course, is probably one of the most important aspects. And from a fun factor perspective, when you're in close and you're just wrecking people, it feels amazing. But the problems lie, of course, when we get into these kind of mid-range engagements where people can honestly just outrange you with pretty much everything else in the game. It pretty much runs into the same kind of problems that the M4A1 runs into, and pretty much all the carbines in that you are getting a ton of firing rate, but you're losing out on the bloom from a distance, and that can be a huge issue when we talk about just kind of like how Battlefield functions sometimes. You're not always going to be in close quarters combat, and I mean, you're really going to feel it with a gun like this. But on the same note, I do think this gun is really fun. I have been running it strictly engineered just to be an anti-tank boy because I'm going to have to get close anyways for the most part. And I feel like it's fairly effective at what it's supposed to do. Now, is this really a knock on anything besides the fact that it's just a carbine and carbines aren't meant to be anything more than a 15, 20 meter range, engagement gun? No, I think it does its job perfectly, but you just have to come into it with the expectation that more than anything, this gun is useful from a certain range, and past that, you're more or less just relying on the luck of you being able to tap your trigger or just really just hoping that the bloom kind of gives you what you need, more or less. But as you can see, I mean, it is very effective from close range. And I think there's a world where a lot of people are going to be using this gun just because it looks cool. Maybe you know the MDR from Tarkov like myself. And I do think it feels really good from the set distances that it is meant to kind of be used at. Now, negatives aside, like I said, it's really just a bloom from a distance. I mean, you're going to always be able to clear rooms in close quarters, 5 meters. You pretty much always win unless you're against another M4A1. But when you end up in situations like this, which this is a situation where I was like, oh my God, there's no way I'm killing all these people. you really can kind of clear a whole group of people out relatively quickly because your rate of fire is so high, and you're really able to just put lead down range as quickly as possible. Granted, this clip is people just being stupid and not paying attention, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. It's deadly efficient from this kind of general range, fighting close quarters, but past that, I don't really see a world where you're going to be using this thing as a single shot DMR. As well, it just doesn't feel the greatest, and nothing against the gun itself. I kind of loved my time with it. I hit level 23 with it relatively quickly as far as leveling up its mastery. But other than that, I mean, fun gun, clear close quarters, like destruction is all you're going to get. But anything past 15 meters, I would not expect anything more than honestly just missing your shots and wasting your ammo. The situations like this is what it thrives in, and I think most people are probably going to be running it as so. But that is all I have for today. The last 2 minutes are just clips of me just sweeping close quarters combat junk, so you can really see this gun in action. But I will admit this gun is really fun. I mean, by all means, if you have a different way that you like to run it, tell me in the comment section below. I really do think it excels at, more than anything, just kind of being a assault rifle that sound or feels like it is meant to be run from close quarters. Very much in the same league as the M4A1. Is it a better version of the M4A1? No, but I would say it's M4A1 adjacent, which means, in simplest terms, that though it might have a slightly less rate of fire, I think it gets the job done just as well. But as always, I hope y'all have a good rest of your day, good rest of your month, and a good rest of your year. I hope y'all are enjoying all these Battlefield videos that we have been churning these out like no one's business. This is a late game weapon, of course. Just like I said, this is the last Carbine. So if you haven't unlocked it yet, well, you're in for a treat. As always, I hope to see y'all in the next video, and I love y'all very much.